To my sons in ministry, I will never need you. You will always need me. My son Emmanuel, Ezekiel, the day will not come that I will need you. Now. But there is no day that will come if you don't want to dry up that you will not need me.
Now, that's a very strong statement from Bishop David Oyedepo. My attention was called to this video, and before we watch the full video and listen to everything before I give my statements, this is an old video. I believe the bishop will have a different opinion to that video by now, currently. Now, that's because Bishop Oyedepo is a sincere man and is a man that serves God from a true heart. Now, of course, as we grow in ministry, we may make certain statements that, might be mistaken, or probably the motive behind the statement is not really directly what was said in the statement as it is. Now, firstly, because there is nobody that you cannot do without as long as you are connected to Christ. While God has given us people to be a blessing for our growth and improvement, nobody is an absolute without whom we cannot survive. Just like you had in the statement, he said, without me you will dry off. In reality, without Christ we will dry off, but not without anybody. For example, these same persons can leave Bishop David Oyedepo and still meet another great man of God who is going to mentor them, and they will still be able to thrive in Christianity. Now, but before I give detailed analysis of the words of our bishop, like I said, it's an old video, so I believe his opinion about that same thing may be different, or probably what he intends to pass across is not to be understood literally in line with what we are hearing him say, because obviously there are a lot of people that are no longer with the bishop, but they are still, thriving well in Christ. But before I give a detailed scriptural view of this statement, let's watch the full video first of all.
Ladies and gentlemen, I never had the privilege of bringing a word of greetings in the ministry of Kenneth Hagin. I never had the privilege. I never sat near the front forever. I was always hanging on the gallery. Where I sit is not what matters. What flows into me is the issue. I was never introduced in any of his meetings. I was too small to be introduced for any reason. When I went with any of my associates, we sit together in the same place. Or Jeremy, we sit together in the same place. I'm your pastor at the gallery at the same level. We sit down, and each one take his note. And when I don't hear some of the things they say because of the way they speak through the nose, I ask you. Now listen, Hagin never needed me. I needed him. To my sons in ministry, your being connected to me is to your advantage. I don't need you. You need me. You may not like it. I will never need you. You will always need me. A day will never come when I will say, David, my son, Odita, lay hands on me. That day won't come. Because you are a branch from my branch. A day will never come when I will, my son, Emmanuel, Ezekiel, the day will not come that I will need you. Now. But there is no day that will come if you don't want to dry up that you will not need me. Olu, the day will not come when you will lay hands on me. I saw when you were born again. I saw how you grew. So that day won't come. But a day will not come when you will not need me. You need this humility to run your race.
So now I think the three basic strong statements that I would want to call attention to is that word, if you don't want to dry off, and then secondly, I don't need you, and then thirdly, you would always need me. Now, like I said, this is an old video. I don't feel in any way I am in any capacity to correct Bishop David Oyedepo. Never. I never think so. If it is somebody that is younger than me in the faith, I probably would have one or two things to say to balance things up. So I am not seeing myself in position to correct the bishop directly, but it's just a statement for the sake of learning that I want to just put out some of these things out there. Now, that statement, if you don't want to dry off, now that's a little bit strong word, I would say, to say. I believe the bishop may be trying to present something, not directly this word, if you don't want to dry off. Reason being that there is only one person you can disconnect from and you will dry off. That is Jesus. Jesus said, I am the vine, you are the branches. Any branch that does not abide in me withers off. So the only person you can disconnect from and you will wither away, it is Jesus Christ. Aside from Jesus, if you disconnect from any man, as long as you have not disconnected from Christ, you will never wither or you will never dry off. Of course, you may miss out of some of the benefits you are getting from that particular person, but as long as you are still connected to Christ, you will not dry off. So I feel that statement is a little bit strong, but I believe he's trying to communicate something, not directly meaning if you disconnect from him as an individual, you will dry off, because it is only Christ that when you disconnect from, you will really dry off. Now, about the issue of I don't need you, but you would always need me, I believe there is a sense upon which that statement should be understood, and when it is understood from that angle, it will be balanced. But if you look at the same statement from another angle, you will discover that it's not really completely so, in the sense that as a father, in as much as it's the sons or the disciples that really come to get instructions from you, but there is something one way or the other that you may need them to do for you. For example, he's your pastor, he is handling a particular branch. Of course, you can't be there, so you need the pastor or the son to be there to handle the work of that branch, which if he's not there, you may need to get another son to do it, but in the long run, you will still need a son in one way or the other to do that. So from another angle, you look at it as a spiritual father, you still need your sons in the ministry because they are important. But if you look at it in another angle, from the angle of a mentor-mentee, of course, it is the mentee, the disciple, that follows the discipler, because the discipler instructs. The discipler doesn't follow the disciple. The disciple needs a discipler. A discipler doesn't necessarily need you as a disciple, in the sense that he can still get other disciples to disciple. So from another angle, you can look at it, it's balanced. But if you look at it from another angle, of course, the father needs the son, and of course, they also need him. Now, but that statement, you would always need me, depends on if you consistently choose to still remain under his mentorship and remain his spiritual son in the ministry, then you would always need him as a discipler or as a mentor. But of course, once you switch and find another person to disciple or to mentor you, you might not necessarily always need the person as at such. So I think it depends on the angle from which these statements are being made. But upon the whole, the summary of the issue here is God has raised people, fathers, disciple, mentors. They are very, very important. But there's only one person without whom we would all, not stand, and that is Christ. So I believe the bishop is trying to communicate something, but not directly in this strong term of words that we see over here. I believe if you meet him, he would have one or two things to say to shed more light on this statement, but not to take this statement emphatically as what it means, because somebody may feel that is being manipulative, in the sense that trying to tell people that they can't do without you, so that they will be scared to leave you, thinking if they go away from you, they will not survive. The reality is people can live and they will still survive. Well, anyways, let me hear your opinion or your thoughts about this in the comment sections. If this video bless you, give it a thumbs up and share so that others can also listen, learn, and be blessed. God bless you, and see you in the next video.